Hello everybody, my name is Thor Young. I'm a moderator at Bear Bull Traders, and today I'm going to talk about how I trade a head and shoulders pattern. I don't talk about patterns a lot because I generically trade using price levels and using L2 price action VPA, things like that. But all of those things that I'm using are very applicable to trading with patterns, and I thought it would be really nice to show you guys how you can marry the two together in order to kind of get a really complete trade. So not only do we have the VPA analysis and things like that to prep us and kind of show us, where we're going to be getting our trade in, but then the pattern helps us with confirmation. So a traditional head and shoulders pattern generically is defined by basically having a shoulder on one side, a head in the middle, and then a shoulder on the other side. Or basically you're going to have an elevated price top, you're going to have a higher price in the middle, and then you're going to have a smaller price retracement on the next one before the price finally drops. So you can think about this as a triple top, really, with an elevated middle top on the triple top, right? So probably the best way to do that. What makes a head and shoulders so unique is that it sets a price level, and that price level's break can be used to help trade it. So if you look here on Plug, Plug was my best trade of the day. I also did a really nice trade today on Piton from the Open. But for the purposes of this one, since I'm talking specifically the head and shoulders, I'll just stick to this stock today. So you can see we did a nice little R4 breakout here, which was fantastic, and got a really, really strong move up. And then we get our first signal that we're going to be starting our reversal. And that first signal is an isolated pivot that you can see is thrown right here at the top, also with some elevated volume. So an isolated pivot in VPA is defined by basically a strong move up, indecision, and then a strong move back down. And you can see we get that here, right? Strong move up, indecision, strong move back down. And this is going to set a level for us. Now, I went ahead and pulled my levels off so I could reset them and you guys could see it. So I'm going to set a level right here off of this isolated pivot. Now this level, give or take a penny or two, it might not be, it's a pivot, it's based on price action where orders were getting filled. Doesn't mean we're going to hit it to the penny. Quite often we do, but it could be up or down, maybe, a penny or two. So now what you're going to see here is after we did this isolated pivot, which would be expected, is we had a nice retracement here, and that culminated in a hammer with some volume that accelerated and pushed the price back up. Now, the one thing that I notice innately as the price is starting to go back up and we get back above this level, that we had some volume going into that level, but after that, as we started to push up the volume, and you can see here by my yellow line, which shows the average volume, actually starts to decline. Right, so we're having a strong push up and a move in an upwards way, but the actual average volume is starting to drop, which shows a lack of excitement towards the stock. So I'm really just waiting for my next clear signal, right, that it's going to be time to do something with the stock, and then I get that signal, which is as it makes this high here, we get a nice shooting star. Now, a shooting star is defined as an upside down hammer that's created on volume. We certainly had a nice amount of volume here, which culminated in an upside down hammer. Really, really like that. So now for my head and shoulders, all I really need is one more attempt to make a new high. And if that fails to make a new high, then I can start evaluating for my head and shoulders. So as you can see here, we came down, had some indecision, and then we did a push up. And sure enough, when we pushed up here, we didn't even make it to the new high. We couldn't get there at all, and most importantly, the volume is still continuing to decline. Again, we have a lack of buying enthusiasm on Plug here, so as the stock tries to push the price up, nobody comes in to buy. Also, at this point, I noticed the inventory to the top side was starting to drop as well, so the sellers were starting to become very unconfident in their position, and they started, I'd imagine, coming off and selling at the current price. So sure enough, shortly after that happened, we pushed down, and then this is where I get my short in. So the final part for a head and shoulders that you need is a cross of the moving averages. I use the 9 and 20 EMA. Now, I personally don't like having moving averages on my screen because they just kind of clutter the screen up for me a little bit. But so what I use is a crossing arrow, which you can see right here. So we come down here, and the moving averages, my 9 and 20, are converging and starting to diverge in the other direction when I get a moving average cross. So now you can see here I've got my cross. As soon as I make a new low below this level, I go ahead and I initiate, I make a new low and I hold the low, right? I go ahead and initiate my short. I get a great move down to VWAP. As it retraces and pulls back up, that pullback is on low volume in comparison, so I still feel good that the buyers aren't coming in yet. So I add into my short for another move down, which goes real nice. And then we pull back up here, consolidate for a little bit more, and then I add in for another short for another leg down. So, and I'm just hanging on to position. Right now, plug seems to be in a nice downward trend. I haven't seen any massive volume to the downside, any reason to think that a large bidder is stepping in to start taking the price here. We're absolutely gapped up right now on the daily, so we could actually turn upside down and maybe try and fill the gap still before the end of the day. So there's a lot going on with this. So hope this was a useful video for everybody. Again, what I covered here basically was how to take a trade using a head and shoulders style pattern with some VPA indicators. So I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please throw me a like. I'd certainly appreciate that. Also, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you can go live with us in the morning on pre-market shows and get alerted when our newest videos come out. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great day, and as always, keep it green.